Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday. Hello, hello. Hi to all my YouTube friends. I love my YouTube family. It's so good to see everybody. You guys are always early, which is fantastic. I love to see all the little conversations that are happening. Oh, loving our little community. And he says, I'm not, as in K-N-O-T, okay. I think you are. I think you are. And if you're not, you're in the right place. I've got the cheese today, right? I'm feeling super cheesy. I just can't help myself. Just can't stop myself. I haven't stopped smiling all morning. And I got to tell you, I'm smiling, but I'm also in a lot of pain. I don't know if you can tell or not because I've covered it up with liquid skin. But first thing, Albert clawed me right in the eye, like right across the eye. Ugh. So it burns a little bit. I might have a scar, but I'm going to tell everybody. If I end up with a scar, I'm going to tell everybody like some crazy, outrageous story about how I was in like a brawl, you know, because I got to make it interesting. Hi, my friends. Facebook's finally here. Hi, Miss Shayla. Hi, Holly. Hi, Ruby. It's so good to see everybody. Hi, Laura, Gia, Dawn. Peggy's here. Colleen is here. Of course, Colleen is here. Oh, Wanda's in the house. We can begin. Wanda's here. All right. So I got a lot of ground to cover today. So you got to buckle up, right? Buckle up. It is, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. Bar fight. Yeah. Right, Renee? Because that sounds like me. But that's what will make it a great story. Because I'm not a bar fight kind of person. I was scrappy when I was younger. I'm just not necessarily scrappy now. Nobody needs to know that. Oh my gosh. So anyway, like I was saying, I've got a lot of ground to cover today. And I want to be sure that I cover all of the bases. So let me tell you what kind of started today's project. Okay, so on Saturday, I did a Michael's class where I did pearl knotting. We actually did a knotted necklace with pearls, and we used the turnaround method. I'm not going to do the turnaround method today, but if you guys want to see that, which I've actually done previously in other videos, but if you want to see the turnaround method, we can do that again. I'm more than happy to do that like next week or the week after that if you want to. I'm still kind of waiting to see when I'm going to be with Sam to do Sam's bead box for this month. So I'll kind of have to work around that. But if you want to see that, just let me know. But that's what we did for the Michael's class. You can also go back and watch that on the replay over on the Michael's YouTube site. It usually takes about 24 to 48 hours for those videos to be uploaded. I haven't checked, but I'm sure that it's probably there already since that was on Saturday. But the reason that I thought that I would revisit that today is because that class was super popular. There were lots of people there. However, there were some students who were having trouble, which always happens, right? But pearl knotting is one of my absolute favorite things in the entire world to teach. And it's really frustrating when I'm in a situation like a Michael's class because I can't really give you the one-on-one attention that you need to help you like really get through this. So I thought we would do it again today. And I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna go really, really slow. And then we're gonna make like a 10 cup style necklace. We're gonna do a design on the fly using the Bargain Bead Box. So let me kind of rewind a little bit and kind of lay it all out for you. So this is why I say I got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to look at the Bargain Bead Box, the one that just came out for this month. I'm going to do like a flyover. We're going to go really, really quickly. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I do want to use some of the beads that were included in it just because I do that once a month and I don't want to leave a month out. The Bargain Bead Box people are super good to me and I always want to give them the love and support that they need. So we're going to be using Bargain Bead Box beads. I'm going to show you, before we get started with the actual project, I'm going to show you the knotting method. So we're basically just going to do a couple of knots together, right? On just a strand, that's all. And then we're going to apply it to an actual project. That's going to be sort of a design on the fly. I kind of know what I want it to be. I know how I want it to look. But we're going to do an actual necklace. And with that necklace, I'm also going to be using the Knot-A-Bead spacers, which I've used in other videos as well. But these are just these little foam spacers that you can use to create the kinds of spacing between your knots. Okay, so if you've never seen me use these before, you'll get to see them today. They're really, really cool. And you can grab these from the Beadalon website if you want to. And Nicole, of course, has my affiliate link. So if you're interested in using my affiliate link, you can. You don't have to, but feel free to use it. I do get a commission back for every purchase that you make using my affiliate link for that. I also have a Bargain Bead Box code. The code is SED2. Gets you $2 off of your first box. So if you're interested in trying out the Bargain Bead Box, first and foremost, it's under $20 every single month. And then you can get an additional $2 off if you use my code. I do get a little bit of a kickback from that as well. Like I said, the Bargain Bead Box people are wonderful. And as far as I'm concerned, they have an amazing value. For less than $20 a month, you get a shipment of curated beads and goodies. And it's always a lot of fun to go through. So I'm going to show you those super quick, like I said, and then we are going to, we're going to get down and dirty, right? Who's ready? All right, let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. All right, I'm going to turn you around. All right, like I said, we're going to do like a flyover of the Bargain Bead Box for this month. We're going to go really, really quickly. I don't have the list or anything like that. I just want to kind of give you an overview. Please excuse the ugly yellow bead mat. The other bead mat has kits on it, so already working on the kits for this month. All right, so come on, lights. I need you to brighten things up a little bit. There we go. All right, so this month is all about like earth tones, greens, and kind of tans and browns, which I think is absolutely beautiful. Always with the Bargain Bead Box, you get gemstone beads, you get glass beads, and you always get a metal assortment. And it always goes together. So again, I don't have the sheet, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what everything is, but I do want to just give you kind of a quick overview. So these are gorgeous. I would assume these are agate. I don't know for sure. So there are those. There are these beauties. Aren't they pretty? So pretty. There's some glass rondelles. Absolutely gorgeous. A strand of bicones. I'm actually going to be using this in what we actually put together today. Robin says she loves the Z beads in this month. I do too. I love Z beads 110%. Chris says, stop it. We don't care about the mat. I know you don't necessarily, but the color of the mat affects the color of the beads and the lighting in here. That's the only reason that I mention it, because it kind of washes things out. So just know that, like, you know, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear kind of thing. I told you, I'm feeling cheesy today. Can't help it. All right. These guys, I'm going to use these in our design today as well. These are really beautiful. These are, I don't know what they are because I don't have the sheet out, but they look like ocean jasper. I'm curious. What are these? Does anybody know? They look like really big ocean jasper. I should have gotten the card out to start with. I bet they're not, though. I'm not really good at guessing. Oh, I don't even know. And I'm not going to go through this list. Oh, it is the ocean jasper. I was right. Look at me. Look at me. Look at the brain today. Awesome. So I'm going to use the ocean jasper and the bicones in our actual project. Look, I was right. So cool. Jennifer says, I wish we could find better mats. Me too. I want white. I don't understand why nobody makes a white bead mat. It makes absolutely no sense to me. All right. Some of these beautiful glass babies right here. They have that, that kind of matte finish stripe across them, which I love. The metal for this month is antique brass. So you've got lots of antique brass findings and goodies and like clasps. There are some toggles in here, those textured toggles, some textured beads, some pendants. These are really cool. I love these because they have that texture. You could patina these and they would look beautiful. There are some textured rings. These little green babies, those are so cute. I might add those into my design as well. Here are the Z beads, and there are two sets of Z beads. So you've got some of the larger ones and then some of these smaller with the circles on them. They're super, super cool. So Z beads are agate, but they have some sort of, we talked about this before, something that they do to them that makes them look like this. We really need to kind of investigate. I know somebody out there knows. Another set of really beautiful, these are kind of dark evergreen. They almost have a blue to them. Some ceramic beads. Those are beautiful. Some chain. So you can see for, I mean, I know it's not all in here and I went really fast, but for less than $20 a month, you've got a whole lot of beads to choose from. I never finish an entire box. Like I'll start working through it, but I never ever finish an entire box. I don't know about the rest of you all, but I always have leftovers, which I think is awesome and definitely makes them such a great value. Now, one of the other things that is pretty cool about the Bargain Bead Box is that once you have subscribed to Bargain Bead Box, you can subscribe to their other website, which is Beadbox Bargains, and you can shop like you shop wholesale. It doesn't necessarily mean that you get a wholesale discount. Those of us who don't get a wholesale discount, it definitely, the prices make you feel like you're getting extra special treatment. So super awesome. All right, now I have no idea what happens, but there are 16 eyes on me right now. I think that's the most viewers we've ever had, and I am not mad about it. Okay, so I don't know what magic potion happened today, but I'm here for it. Okay, so we're going to get started. Now, these are the beads that are going to be part of the actual project that we do. But to get started, we're actually going to start out with some pearls because I want to walk you through the pearl knotting technique. Okay, I want to walk you through this so that you get it. And if it means we have to do 10 beads and 10 knots, that's what we're going to do. But it's really important to me that you understand how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to take these off of the card. These are just potato pearls. They're freshwater. I got them from Michael's. I don't buy super expensive pearls unless I'm making something really, really special. And for something like this where we're just practicing, these are perfect. Okay. Now, we're not going to spend any time doing bead reaming on these at all, okay, because I'm not going to be doing the traditional start and stop method with this. All I'm focusing on is the actual knotting technique itself. Okay. Now I use silk cord for this. I use Griffin silk, and I also use the Beadalon 100% silk bead cord. I love to get these packs like this that have more than one size. The reason that it matters is because you want to be sure that you're using the correct size of silk cord for the bead hole that you've got. Okay. So in other words, if you're making a knot, you don't want that knot to slip through the hole of the bead. Right? That's really, really important. You want to be sure that each knot is going to secure the beads, not slip through the beads. So you kind of have to play around with the different sizes of the silk to accommodate the drill hole that is on your bead. Now, I will tell you that pearl beads and gemstones tend to have a smaller drill hole. So a lot of times the 2 or the 4 is going to be your best bet. But I have found that when I buy my freshwater pearls at Michael's, they have a pretty good size drill hole on them, and I can get away with using the size 6. That's what we're going to be using for today. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab the 6. I actually have leftovers from Saturday's class. Don't ever pre-cut your silk. Use up the length that you've got and leave the rest of it. Don't pre-measure or pre-cut, because if you do, you're going to lose your needle. Always want that needle to be on there. I'm going to come to the end of the cord here, and I'm just going to tie an overhanded knot. So like I said, we're not going to do the traditional start and stop for this. We're just going to focus on technique. So all I'm doing is just tying a knot in the end of my cord to be sure that my pearls don't fall off. I'm not worried about findings or anything like that for this. Okay, so I just do a surgeon's knot to tie a nice big chunky monkey knot on the end of that. Now I'm going to thread on a few pearls, and we're going to walk through this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and thread on, let's do like, I don't know, 6 or 7. Okay, and if we need to do more, we can. Kelly says, already a convert, that I sold her on the knotter tool and my instructions are great. That's exactly what I want to hear. As a matter of fact, you guys, Sam and I were talking yesterday about maybe doing some sort of like, I don't know, an extended class on knotting where we do maybe 3 projects or so. I don't know. That's something that an idea that we're kind of tossing around, because it's, like I said, it's one of my favorite things to teach. So, and there's lots to learn about it. I'll keep you updated on that. Okay. So now all of this is super important. I cannot stress this enough. And if you took the class with me on Saturday, you know, I said this over and over again, and I'm going to say it a million times today as well. Okay. Do not improvise. Do not deviate from my instructions. I always, with jewelry making, will tell you, throw the rules out the window and do things your own way. This is the exception to that. You absolutely cannot, okay? You cannot deviate from this. If you do, you're going to struggle with this technique. If you follow this exactly how I tell you to do it, you're not going to have any problems. You're going to practice it a little bit. You're going to fall in love, and you're going to be creating knots between every bead that you have. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a pearl and we're going to just move it right down, right up next to that knot that we just created. Now, there are certain things that I want you to take note of. Every single part of this is important. First and foremost, this is my dominant hand with the pearl, okay, for now. My non-dominant hand, the silk cord is underneath my hand, okay, running from left to right. I'm going to take my 2 fingers. Again, that silk cord is running underneath my hand. I've got my 2 fingers here. I'm going to take that cord between my thumb and my index finger. Okay, just holding on to it so I don't lose it. Taking the silk cord, I'm wrapping around my 2 fingers away from my body. Okay, this is important. I'm wrapping away from my body to make a loop around my fingers. And you can see when I loop around, the short cord with the pearl on it is underneath the long piece that is looping around my fingers. Okay, so I've got a loop here. I'm going to take this pearl and I'm going to drop it down into that loop, right? So the V of my fingers, I'm dropping the bead down into that loop, right? Let's see here. Nicole and Colleen, be on the lookout because we've got some spam and we've got some trolls going on here. Just a few, nothing crazy. Okay. So fortunately they were not anything like naughty. Okay. So now we're going to bring in the tool, and the V in the tool, okay, this is the needle of the tool. There's also another V here, right? But we're focusing on the V in the needle of the tool and the V in your fingers. Those 2 V's need to be facing the same direction, okay? See how the V comes down here and the V in your fingers. Keep those the same direction. Bring that V behind the cord, okay? And then you want to hook it like this. Okay, so we're hooking forward. If you mess this up, you're going to struggle. Do it exactly the way that I'm showing you. Put your finger on the tip, let go, and pull out all of the slack. So basically, you're just pulling that knot right up to the pearl, okay? Take the cord and place it into the V, the yoke of the tool, okay? Now, keeping even tension on the silk cord, press up with your thumb and it's going to deliver the knot directly next to the pearl. You don't have to pull super hard. You don't have to do anything super crazy. Okay, that's all you got to do. But if you deviate from those steps in any way, you're going to be working against the twist in the silk. So let me show you what I mean. The silk cord is 2 pieces of silk that's been twisted and then twisted together. Okay, the reason that I tell you these instructions and tell you not to deviate from them is because these instructions and the directions of everything that I show you is working in tandem with the twist that's in the silk cord. If you deviate and you turn your tool the wrong direction, or you do your loop the wrong direction, or whatever the case may be, you are working against the natural twist in this silk cord. And what's going to happen is you're going to pull on that silk and it's not going to pull smoothly. You're going to tie your knot and your knot is going to be not right up against the pearl, and it's also going to be backwards. Okay, so to keep your knots consistent, you've got to follow these steps. I can't say that enough, and I know that I'm like beating you over the head with it, but the truth is that's the #1 thing that messes people up. And if you get messed up and you get frustrated, you'll never come back to this. You'll think it's not worth it. Follow the instructions, okay? This is the one time in jewelry making where the technique matters big time. We're going to pull down another pearl because I'm going to show this to you a couple of times, okay? We've pulled down another pearl. Silk is underneath my hand, right? Coming up this way. I'm going to take the silk cord, holding onto it with my thumb, just loosely, wrapping it around my 2 fingers, going away from my body. Okay. Take the 2 pearls inside the V, drop down through the loop that you just made. Okay. Take a screenshot if you need to. Bring in the tool. The V of the needle and the V of my fingers is going in the same direction. Come back and hook forward. Put your finger on the tip of the needle to hold it so that it doesn't slide off. Pull out the slack. Place the cord into the yoke of the tool. Keep even tension. Push up, and it's going to deliver the knot. All right? Seriously, with the spam today? Goodness. Okay. We're going to do another one. So we're going to take the pearl, pull the pearl down. Okay. Notice the cord and the placement around my fingers, away from my body, taking those pearls, right? All of your work, the longer your work becomes, the more you have to drop down through the loop. Drop it down through the loop. Grab your tool. Double check the V's are in the same place. Back, hook forward, finger on there. Pull out the slack. Put it into the yoke and deliver the knot. And it's going to be consistent every single time. Notice there's not any wiggle room in between there. You don't want any wiggle room. Okay. You want those knots to hold each and every single one of those pearls as secure and as snug as possible. Okay. Yeah, I know. Cindy says the same thing was happening with Candy's video. I don't know what's going on. It's got to be something. It's got to be Facebook related for some reason. Obviously, because they're on Facebook. All right. So drop another one down. Okay. I've got 3 more, and then we're going to move on to our actual project. Okay. Silk coming underneath my non-dominant hand, wrapping away from me to make a loop. Take all of those pearls. I just kind of threw them and drop those down through the loop. Okay. Hook, hold your finger on there. Now, don't put your finger on the tip of the tool and hurt yourself. I do it all the time, and I'm always bleeding when I'm doing hand knotting. Put it to the side. All you want to do, like, you're not trying to injure yourself. You just want to make sure that that silk cord doesn't slip off of the needle, because it's slippery and it will. And if you mess up, you have to undo your knot. Okay. So don't ever say I was trying to tell you to hurt yourself, because I promise I wasn't. Put that in the yoke, pull and push, and you're going to get your knot. The consistency is there every single time. Okay. We've got 2 more. Okay. So we're going to slide it down. Okay. Wrap around your fingers, drop through. Okay. Hook, pull out the slack. Okay. Peggy says, why couldn't the cord be put in the notched area before removing the slack? It can. That's just kind of a, like the next step. I just want to be sure that everybody gets it this way first. But yeah, you can do it that way if you want to. The only reason I don't particularly care to do it that way is because, number one, if you've made a mistake in your directions of your loop and the whole bit, pulling against this little groove, if you've got your silk going in the wrong direction, it's a real good way to tear up your silk. So it's just kind of insurance here in the beginning, right? Wanda says, don't bleed on the silk cord. Exactly. All right. So this is our last one. Wrapping around our fingers, dropping everything through, right? Hook, pull out the slack, cord goes into the yoke, and then push to get your knot. Okay. Now, if you need to go back and watch that over and over and over again, you can. Okay. But you can see how consistent those knots are, right? All right. Now let's take this, right? Let's take this and turn this into a project. But we're going to do a 10 cup style project, which means that we're going to have some spacing in between our beads. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get another card. A little DNA never hurts. That's true. That's true. All right. So I'm going to undo this off of my card here. Now, people always ask about stretching your silk. I don't normally stretch my silk. If I've got new silk, I normally don't stretch it. Now, if I've got silk that's been sitting in the drawer for a while, I might. A lot of the silk that you can buy now is pre-stretched, so it doesn't give a whole lot. But if you're worried about it, you can take your silk off of the card. Okay, you can put it in a bowl of warm water and let it soak for about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, and then pull it out. Pull out all of the excess water and let it dry, and that will pull out any, it'll pull out any of the give that is in it. It'll also help to kind of get rid of all those little wrinkles. You can also hit it with a really cool iron. I would do it between 2 towels. I would never just add the iron directly to your silk cord. But I normally just don't. I will just take it off of the card and then kind of pull out whatever those little creases are. Because like I said, most silk cord now is pre-stretched. But if you're worried about it, it just takes a little extra. Wanda says, I ain't soaking no cord ever. That's kind of the way I feel about it as well. Okay, so we're gonna start out the same way that we started with our project on Saturday. If you don't know what we did, that's okay, because I'm gonna show it to you. So I'm gonna find the end of the silk that does not have the needle on it, okay? And I'm gonna tie an overhanded knot, and I'm actually gonna loop it through twice. So it's basically like a surgeon's knot, right? So just loop through twice. And I'm going to pull that knot down. I'm not right at the end of the cord, but I'm pretty close. Okay. And that just makes kind of a big chunky monkey knot. Okay. And I'm going to take a clamshell. So now this is not traditional. This is not the traditional way to do things. I can always do a video on the traditional way to do things, but we're keeping things simple and focusing on technique today. So clamshell are these little guys. They're also called bead tips, right? They've got a hole through them. Some of them have a loop. Some of them have, rings to go through, whatever. They come in a lot of different forms. Basically, all this is just a way to hide your knot and to give you an opportunity to add hardware. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this onto my cord. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the center of this with my needle, so that when I thread this down to my knot, the knot is going to sit on the inside of that little clamshell. Cheryl says, can I show the knot without the tool? So that is a completely different technique. Not one that I am super comfortable with, but could be a future project maybe, but I don't want to mess people up by doing it today. Okay. All right. So when I pull that down, you can see that knot is going to be right on the inside of that clamshell. Now I'm going to take some GS Hypo Cement. I like this one the best because it has that little precision tip on it. Mine's always a mess. Don't judge me. I know yours is a mess too. So if you say it's not, you're fibbing. I'm just saying, unless it's a brand new one. Mine are never brand new. All right, so I let my fingers just warm it up. I don't ever squeeze it. Just let your fingers warm up. Put a little drop of glue. That was a little bit more than a drop of glue, but I mean, that goes on the knot and to the inside of the clamshell. So when you start to close that clamshell, you're going to secure not only the knot, but the hardware as well. So I like to start this with my fingers, right? I'll close this over the cord with my fingers. Now it's not closed completely, but I did close it, but I do have enough wiggle room to kind of wiggle that silk cord that's hanging out of it over to one side so that I can come in and trim that off. And then I'm going to use my pliers to finish closing that. Okay. So go close that back. Alex says, can you use that with beading wires? So sometimes you can use these little clamshells to cover up your crimps if you want to. But I usually don't. I used to. I don't anymore just because there are some really cool crimp covers that you can get. But yeah, you can. There's no reason why you can't. Okay. All right. So I've got my little hook here. I'm going to turn it into a loop. Let's see. I'm going to scroll back here for just a second. What? Lisa, what are you talking about? I don't have any gum. What is happening here? Oh, you're welcome, Alex. I don't always see every comment go by, but I try. Gum? What is happening? Okay. Anyway, I'm going to... No idea. I am going to grab the tip of that hook with my round nose pliers. Okay, good. Thank you. Like, what? And I'm just going to turn a little loop. Now, I like to double mine over just because I feel like it's extra security, but you don't have to. It's not a perfect little loop, but honestly, you're only going to be seeing it from the front if you're even seeing it at all. See it? It looks better from the front, right? Oh, goodness. Okay. So, I love you too, Gia. It threw me off for just a second. I was like, wait, what? Am I making a weird noise or something that I'm like not aware of it? Okay. So now I'm ready to start my project. Okay, so we've got the end ready to go, and I went ahead and made that loop. The reason that I don't save that until the end is because we're going to be using this and making our loops and using the tool, and I don't want that hook to get hooked on things, right? Okay, so for our project, what I want to use is these beautiful ocean jasper beads. Now, the reason that I'm also using this in conjunction with some of these bicones is because I want to show you something. I told you in the very beginning that if you're using freshwater pearls or gemstones, sometimes it can be tricky to get silk cord the right size so that the knot doesn't slip through the hole of the bead, right? Well, there's an alternative to that. Let's say for whatever reason you really can't find the right silk cord for the beads that you want to use. Well, using something pretty next to your bead, like a bicone, is a great alternative, because a lot of times you'll have like a gemstone, maybe it has a larger hole, or you're using a glass bead that has a larger hole. You can put something on either side of it, like a really pretty bicone, and the bicone usually has a smaller hole, which will accommodate your silk cord, and it just adds a little sparkle. Now, you don't have to use a bicone if you don't want to. You can always use like a seed bead or something like that. But it's just fun to me to add a little extra sparkle and to solve a problem all at the same time. Right? Ocean jasper is one of my favorites too, Wanda. I absolutely love ocean jasper. These are a little big for me. I normally like a smaller, I like a 6mm, 8mm ocean jasper, 8 at the biggest, but I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. Okay. Now, something else that we're going to use, remember I showed these to you at the beginning, are these not a bead little spacers. These are from Beadalon, and this one is 3/4 inch, and this one is a 1/2 inch. Now, you treat this just like a bead. I'm going to show you how to use it, okay? But you, what? I don't even know. I just totally lost my train of thought. You treat these like a bead, but they're not permanent, okay? The technique is going to be exactly the same. These slide on and then slide off. I'll show you how to do that. So let's actually get started with one of these, okay? We'll use the 1/2 inch for our project. So one end is closed, but the other side is open, and you just take it and you're going to slide it on. See how I just took that and you slide it on? And I'm just going to pull that down right up against the little bead tip. So basically we're going to pretend like this is a bead. All this does is it pre-measures my spacing for me, so I don't have to, which is in my case brilliant, because I don't like to math and I don't like to use my ruler if I don't have to. So I treat this the same way I would a bead. So my steps are the same for knotting, right? Cord coming underneath my hand, wrapping away from my body, taking my little knotted bead spacer and dropping it down just like I would a bead, coming in with my tool, coming from behind, hooking forward, holding on, and then I'm going to pull, and I'm going to pull that knot right up to the edge of my spacer, my little knotted bead spacer, okay? Bring the cord into the yoke and push, and I've got a knot. So now when I take this off, because it just slides away, I have a perfectly spaced knot that is a half inch away from either my last knot, my last bead, whatever it is. In this case, it's our bead tip. Okay. So now I can come in and add beads to this. Right? Wanda says, I love that those gizmos are both not, as in K-N-O-T, a bead, and then not N-O-T, a bead. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. It really is brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to do a bicone, a jasper bead, and another bicone. Okay, I'm going to slide that down, and that's going to sit right up against the knot that we just created, right? And it's evenly spaced. So now I'm going to treat this just like I would a single bead, even though it's more than one bead. And that's the brilliance of the knotting tools. You can do as many beads as you want to. It doesn't have to be a single bead, right? You can get creative. Steps are the same. Cord, wrap around your fingers away from your body. Take everything, drop it down through the loop. Come in with your knotter tool. Double check the two V's are going in the same direction. Come from behind, hook forward. Pull out the slack, bring your cord into the V and push to get your knot, right? So now I've knotted on either side. Okay, I want to do another space. So I'm going to thread on my knotted bead spacer. Okay, that's going to evenly space out. So I'm going to take my fingers, wrap around, drop everything down through, come in, hook, right up against the knotted bead spacer, yoke, push. And now when I take this away, that knot is a half inch away from my previous knot, right? And that's going to give us that kind of tin cup style look that we are going for in our project. So I'll thread on that. Thread on, or my bicone, not that. A bicone, a jasper bead, another bicone, slide that down, and you can see it really kind of helps to see visually. See the spacing between that? How beautiful is that? So now your silk cord becomes part of the actual design. And what's cool about that is, number one, it's just beautiful. But number two, the silk cord, you can get silk cord in every color of the rainbow. Cindy says, why are you using a spacer? Just for design? Yep, just for this kind of design. You don't have to. It's just a fun little different way to use your knotting tool. Right? So you can use that silk as part of your design. All right, so wrapping around my fingers, dropping everything down through. Why Tin Cup? So the reason that it's called that is because there was a movie called Tin Cup. Was it? I think it was just called Tin Cup. There might have been other words, but I think it was just called that. And the kind of pearl necklace that the lady was wearing, just that really kind of, it was a pearl necklace with the spaces in between the pearls, just like what we're doing. And that kind of stuck. And so whenever you say tin cup style, that's, everybody kind of knows that that's what you're talking about. And in the industry, everybody recognizes it. It just kind of became official, even though it wasn't. There's no real technical term for using the spacers. So I think we, as an industry, just needed something to call it. And that's what we used. All right. So I'm just going to keep going forward, right? I'm going to bring in my knotted bead spacer, slide that right up against the knot that I just made. I've tried to find pictures, up close pictures of the necklace that she was wearing in that movie, but I can never get really good up close pictures of it to see it. But from what I understand and from what I've seen, it was a, because I've not seen the movie, but it was a pearl necklace with the spacing between it. All right. And then take that off. And let me tell you, if you're using these little spacers and you feel like that knot didn't get super tight, this one's fine. But if you feel like you didn't tighten the knot, don't put it back on the tool or anything like that. Use the next set of beads and push up against it, and it'll help to tighten up that knot. So I'll show you. When I add my next bicone, my jasper, and another bicone. Now, when you push this up against the knot that you just created, if it's not a completely secured knot, just kind of pushing will help to tighten it, right? Look how pretty. Oh, that's so pretty. I love it. All right, so keep going. Kelly says, watch it. I should watch it. I should watch it. Is it like, it's a romance movie, and I don't know, maybe. I say I don't do romance, but like I'm obsessed with Hallmark Channel movies, which is ridiculous because they're all like love movies. I know. I don't know what's wrong with me. But if it makes me cry, like if it's got sad in it, I won't watch it. Like I just don't. I can't. I don't choose to cry. Like if it's an accident and it's in a movie and I wasn't prepared for it, that's one thing. But like if I know that it's like a tearjerker, I will avoid it at all costs. To this day, I've not watched Titanic because of that. Because I'm like, I know that it's like make you cry. And if it's make you cry, it's an automatic nope for me. I will nope right on out of there. No crying and no dogs hurt. Okay, that sounds good. All right, hook. Pulling out all the slack. And the yoke, and then all right, I'm going to do one more. Actually, you know what, let's change it up a little bit, okay, because we are kind of just designing on the fly, and really we're just playing with technique more than anything. I'm not super focused on like making an amazing design here, but let's pull in some other color to this. Where are those little green beads that I had? Look at these. These are so pretty. And I know like this is such a weird little color combo, but I don't know. I think that might be pretty. So I'm just going to do like a single of the little green. The exception to my crying movies would be The Notebook. That was a wonderful movie and it was worth the cry. It was worth the cry. And I'm sure that Titanic is worth the cry too, but I just can't. I just can't. I've had enough crying in like my real life. I don't need any like, you know, I don't want to choose to like do that to myself. All right, wrapping around. Yeah, I'm more of like a psychological thriller, true crime, like mysteries, horror movies, of course, are my all-time favorite, but I don't ever intentionally go for like, oh, it came off. Did you see? I was not paying attention. So it came off of the tool because I wasn't holding on tight. So what happens is you see that knot's not very tight. I don't want to put it back on the tool. So I'm just very, very carefully going to pinch down with my fingers. It's good for you to see that. It happened on Saturday too. Just pinch down to tighten up that knot, right? And we're going to call it good. You just got to be careful. You got to watch what you're doing. Okay, slide down. I don't know if some of you may know this. I was actually, before I took this on as a full-time job, I was in school to be a veterinary technician. And I'm like, I have days where I'm like, it would have been cool if I'd have finished and gotten my degree in that. But then there are other days because I love animals so much. I'm like, it's probably for the best that didn't work out for me, because I would spend my entire career crying about every hurt or sad animal that came into my office. So I probably could not emotionally have handled being a veterinary technician. Oh my gosh, Robin, that's hilarious. Cindy says she's sad she missed the beginning. That's the great thing about Facebook and YouTube, though. You can go back and watch it. See, I just popped a little green one in there. I don't know, just a little something, something. Andrea used to be a vet tech. That'd be hard. It would be so hard for me. I thought that I could handle it, but now that I'm older and wiser and I, have raised my dogs from puppies, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I love everybody's pets. And I just couldn't handle, like, if I had to put them to sleep, even if it was, the best choice, it would kill me. I would cry all the time. All right, so I'm going to do 2 more of these, and we'll do another little green. So just using my spacer here, treating it just like a bead. Okay. Renee says, does the knotted bead spacer come in different lengths? So it comes in a pack of 2, and they're 2 different sizes. Beadalon used to offer, I think, 2 additional lengths, maybe 3 additional lengths. But I think for now, the only ones they have are the 3/4 and the 1/2 inch. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so bring that down. Now, the only thing about the knotting technique, and it's the same is true whether you're doing spacing like I'm doing here or you're not, is that the longer your piece becomes, the more you have to feed down through the loop that you made, right? And you just want to be careful that you don't get anything caught. Hook. And then get your knot, right? We'll do another one. Okay. Around your fingers, follow the steps. Don't change the steps up. Do not improvise. I think it was Wanda who said that on Saturday. Do not improvise. Hook. Guys, speaking of Michael's classes, I have a Michael's class tomorrow, and that is at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm doing it's sort of freeform wire necklace. If you want to come check it out, it's totally free. If you can't make it at 2 p.m., you can go back and watch it after they upload it to the Michael's website. Okay. Around, drop down, drop through. And like I said, you gotta be sure that you're not, see how I got that kind of hooked? So the longer the piece is, the more opportunity there is to, like, kind of mess up as you're feeding things through. So just be mindful. Come in with your tool, hook, hold your finger, pull out the slack, place it into the yoke, even tension, and push. Juanita says, can you use soft flex beading wire? You cannot. As far as I know, you cannot. I have never used bead stringing wire for this kind of knotting. So I don't want to say that you absolutely 100% can't, but I do know for sure that it's not necessarily designed for this. However, that being said, you can use just about any other kind of cord for knotting, and with your knotter tool. So your knotter tool is going to work with leather. It's going to work with nylon cord. It's going to work with your silk cord. Obviously, you can use this with hemp. You literally can use your knotter tool to make knots in just about anything. And multi-strand if you go really, really slow. So if you need to knot something that's maybe 3 strands, you can do it. You just want to go really, really slow. And of course, that is definitely when you want to be sure that you're following all of the steps and not messing anything up. Tish says, no, you cannot. I did, and it was horrible. So there you go. Okay. hook. Okay, now we're going to add another green bead. Now, I don't know if we're going to finish this project or not, but I know that it says on the spool that you cannot. So with Beadalon bead stringing wire, like their 49 strand, you can knot with it, but it's not this kind of knot. So the knotting that I do with my 49 strand Beadalon bead stringing wire is like macrame type knots. And I'm not saying that you can't create knots in it like this kind of knot. I just don't think that in conjunction with this tool is a very good, I don't think they're a good match. Look how pretty. So just like every once in a while you get that little pop of green in there. I think that's pretty. I really do. I'm going to do a few more and then we're going to stop because I don't want to keep you guys here forever. And I think you kind of get the idea of this. Because you definitely can make a really long, beautiful, like opera style, opera length necklace. Or you could keep it short. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. I just wanted you guys to see the technique more than anything and to see these gorgeous beads and to see that whether you put spaces between them or not, your technique, all of the steps are still going to be exactly the same. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go around your fingers away from your body to create that loop. Take everything, drop it down through the center. All right. Hook, hold your finger on there, pull out the slack, place it into the yoke, and push to deliver the knot. Okay. Put our knotted bead spacer in. Treat it the exact same way. Drop everything down through. Okay. Hook. Pull out all the slack. Place it into the yoke. Deliver the knot. Remove this. Okay. And Marley Beth says, are the knots for look? So in this kind of design, of course, the knots are, you know, a placeholder, keeping all of those beads in the spot where we want them to be. But traditionally, the reason why, well, there's a couple reasons why, but traditionally the knots are to protect each one of the pearls. So we're using freshwater pearls, at least I did when we got started with our project here, you know, just to show you the technique, was freshwater pearls. Freshwater pearls are you know, affordable for everybody. But originally, of course, perfect round pearls, right, was what people wanted. And each individual pearl costs an absolute fortune. And that's still true today, right? You buy your pearls, your perfect round pearls, you buy those one at a time, you know, until you have enough to create an entire piece of jewelry, unless you're super wealthy. Well, sorry. And so each individual pearl was, you know, in itself a little small fortune. So they would knot between them because it feels very luxurious, but it also meant that if the necklace broke, you may only lose one pearl instead of the entire strand. Not only that, but each pearl serves as a little bumper between each one of the pearls. So those pearls or your gemstones or your crystals or whatever your beads may be are not rubbing up against each other and creating friction, and basically rubbing away at each other, right? There's no way that those are going to rub up against each other and damage each other. So the pearls kind of worked or the knots work as not just visually and structurally, but they serve as a protective barrier, not just for losing one, but for also protecting them from each other as well. To sell this piece, you know, I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure. I will tell you this. Okay. I will tell you this, that if you go to my Etsy shop in particular, I don't know about others, but if you go to mine, I charge quite a bit more for my knotted pieces. Number one, because the materials that I'm using are expensive. Number two, the silk cord is not super cheap. And number three, it takes time and patience to do it. And I want to be sure that my knots are perfect every single time. So for something like that, I definitely charge a little bit more. As far as like what I would charge for this in particular, I'm not real sure. I would have to really kind of think about, you know, my materials versus my time. But I can tell you that it would be it would be a little bit more pricey than if I had just strung all these beads. That's for sure. All right, let's do one more. Well, we'll do two because we're going to do one with our I have tiny little rough diamonds. Do you think the number 2 would be small enough to show them off? I think it would be. And, you know, even if it's not, you can look on the Beadalon website or anywhere that sells silk. I think it comes even smaller than number 2. So I'm sure that you could find something that would work, but I do think that the number 2 is a great place to start for sure. And how beautiful. Gosh, that would be amazing. GS is at least 40. Yeah, I would probably start there and work up depending on what my materials were, for sure. I always charge more for knotting, always. So the word I was looking for earlier when I was like talking about an extended class, I was workshop. Workshop is the word I was using with Sam yesterday. I was talking to Sam about doing a knotting workshop where, you know, I do maybe 3 projects, and it's on our list of things that we're talking about. Don't know for sure, but definitely in my future plans, because there's so much more to get into with knotting, with the knotter tool and just this kind of technique in general. So I think it would definitely be worth doing, you know, an extended little thing over. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. Okay. Because we're at an hour at this point. I do want to turn you around to show you what this looks like. I guess I can hold it up to the bust. It's not finished. But I do want to mention, so as I get to the end of this, when I add all of the beads that I want, the way that I would finish this is the exact same way that I started. I would create a knot, and then I would thread on another one of these little clamshells, add my glue, trim off the excess, and then add your hardware to this, right? There is a way that you can make a seamless necklace with your knotter. You don't have to use any hardware. So if you wanted to do like an over the head type necklace, there is a way to do that. That's a whole nother technique. So like I said, there's definitely workshop worthy, you know, techniques and information when it comes to knotting, but I always want to give you a good starting point. And I feel like today was a good one because you get to focus really on the technique and going slow, and then you can see what it looks like if you add the spaces in between. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to turn you around. Okay. Does the silk cord get dirty? It does. It absolutely. I wish I could say, oh no, it's stain resistant. But the truth is that, yeah, it will get dirty. I mean, it's silk. It's, you know, anytime you're using any kind of textiles for your jewelry, it's going to get dirty. So I'm always extra careful when I'm using particularly the white silk. I'm really careful to make sure that my hands are really, really clean, because things like makeup, you know, even if you don't necessarily see it on your fingers, it may come off on the silk as you're working. And then when you're wearing it, you want to be mindful too. Whoa. Messed up my chair here. You want to be sure that you're like, if you're going to wear perfume and you've got silk If you're wearing a necklace that has silk knotting in it, or any cord, to be honest with you, you want to put that on first and let it dry before you put this on, because even your perfumes will stain that silk cord. So you got to treat it like silk, because that's what it is. Any way you would treat like a silk blouse is the same way you're going to treat your silk cord. So you got to be good and kind and gentle with it, for sure. That's a really good question, though. All right, so I'm going to show you what this looks like. Just even though it's not a finished piece, I will show you how this beautiful like spacing in between, how it would hang. Were we to finish? See how pretty that looks. I hope I can hold everything up here straight. And for whatever reason, I just can't seem to do that when the camera is backwards. I don't know why. My brain just, it's like it's already backwards, and then to flip the design around makes it even more backwards for my brain. Look how pretty. So pretty. So you don't even have to go really long. This would make a beautiful little short necklace as well. Right? Just add some hardware to the end of it and call it a day. You could layer this with your other favorite pieces, but the knotting can be done with everything, you guys. It doesn't just have to be pearls, which I proved today because this is gemstones and glass. But you can, your favorite check glass beads, knotting between everything. It gives a totally different feel to the finished piece. And it makes it feel very fluid. I know that's kind of a weird thing to call jewelry, but it does. It gives it such a really lovely drape. It just feels kind of luxurious. It definitely feels a little bit more high end, even if it's just glass beads. For whatever reason, creating those knots makes everything just have this really luscious, luxurious drape to it. So if that's what you're looking for, silk cord is definitely the way to go. Now you're still going to get that great feeling with nylon cord and with other things as well, but silk definitely has the most luxurious feel to it in a finished piece. So just keep that in mind. All right. All right, my friends, I love you so much. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your Tuesday. Guys, Hardwired, we are meeting this afternoon at 4:30. We are doing a rose wire wrapped ring for our project. If you are having a little FOMO right now, don't worry. The Hardwired group will be opening back up again here soon for enrollment. And we're always happy to have new faces. But Hardwires, I'll see you guys at 4:30. Tomorrow, guys, don't forget, I've got a project over on Michael's. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So set your reminders for that if you want to come hang out. If not, I'll see you guys again on Friday for our Feel Good Friday show. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm already working on those kits. And the maker mix, I'm doing a Mother's Day maker mix. So if you're looking for a really beautiful maker mix, I've got one for you for Friday. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, guys. And I will see you guys again soon. Okay. Bye.